This podcast is part of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
You're plugged in for the Podcast Wrestling Society, where you can get dynamic weekly pro wrestling and MMA-related content. Give us a follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at PODWRES Society so that you can stay in the know.
Faith is the place. The sky's the limit.
And if you like what you hear, give us a 5-star review and hit that subscribe button.
Woo! 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 Woo!
Now, your host, he is the one and only Troy Adams.
It's the Monday Night Wars on Wrestling Wednesday here on the Podcast Wrestling Society. I'm your loving leader, benevolent host, Midwest Monster, and after this podcast, you can call me Hollywood, the Big Bad Wolf. I am Troy Adams. Touring with me here today is my stone cold surprise. He is the Farouk to my Bradshaw. He is Greg. What up, Greg?
Damn.
Oh, man. I didn't even think about that one. You caught on quick with that one. Dude, I swear to God, I was watching Great American Bash, I want to say 1990, and Doom had a tag team match, and after they showed Ron Simmons off to the side after he got slammed, and he stood up and just went, damn! That was great. Oh, man, how's it been for you lately, man?
Up and down, but, not bad.
Well, you know what this week is? Actually, from the day this drops, you know what tomorrow is our nation's birthday.
Oh, yeah. America.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's, we're going to celebrate the nation's birthday all month here on Wrestling Wednesday. And something else we're celebrating today is our 50th episode. That is this. It is going in the books. Episode number 50. We're almost a year old, Greg.
Man, let's not talk about age.
Wow. Well, something good today. We're making this our biggest episode ever so far. Episode 50. We are halfway to 100, halfway to triple digits here. I do want to give a shout out right away to our over 800 followers between Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. We have over 800 people that care about what you and I have to say, Greg.
I'll take it.
Yeah, that's not bad, I will say. And for all of you, youtube.com/Podcast Wrestling Society, everything is being updated on a weekly basis now. And because I usually post the podcast, here's a little insider secret for all of you. I usually post the podcast early, on Tuesday evening before I go to bed, and set a timer so that the podcast actually doesn't come out until Wednesday. But YouTube does not have that same kind of timer, so it's already up. If you want to listen to the episode early, go subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can hear it on Tuesday evening. Little insider secret for you there.
You gave it away.
Oh no, but I mean, if you guys aren't subscribe to our YouTube channel, definitely go, like I said, youtube.com/Podcast Wrestling Society. Good stuff. I also, I was sending you, Greg, I sent you some screenshots of our reviews we've been getting on iTunes.
I was pretty pleased.
Yeah, it was all good stuff. I want to give a shout out specifically to friend of the show, Delvin Cox. I figure this was him. Username 1Delvin123. Very original stuff. But Delvin Cox, go check out his podcast, The Delvin Cox Experience. He's a friend of the show. Thank you for your kind words. I also want to give a shout out to other people who left us very kind words, nice reviews. You're going to laugh at this one, Greg. Mr. Mark P37. I'll give a shout out to you. Well, followed by Mox, bro, which we've always known to be true. I also want to thank EPG77 and Tim OB. So thank you all for the kind words, and definitely go give us a 5-star. Make like Uncle Dave and go give us 5 stars and a good review on iTunes.
7 if we ever record this in Japan.
Well, yeah, we gotta bump the numbers up, bro. We gotta get a few more V triggers in there. But yeah, so definitely, like I said, go check out the YouTube page and subscribe if you want to hear us early. Review us on iTunes, all good stuff. Thank you all very much for being a part of the society. And now, let's dive into the subject at hand here. Let's talk some Monday Nitro. For those of you that don't know, we are covering January 4th, 1999.
Oh, man, what a night this was.
It was a big night for on both channels. Like I told you, I wasn't a WCW kid. I was, for the record, I was like 8 when this aired. So I wasn't a WCW guy. My friends, a couple doors down, they were. I was a WWF kid because that's what my dad watched. Therefore, that's what I watched. And my dad watched it mostly because, I mean, that's what he was used to in the North. And also because he literally told me, he said, I watch Raw, and I'm like, who's the champion? Stone Cold, The Rock, The Undertaker, cool. Flip over to WCW. Who's the champ? Oh, it's Ric Flair again, going back to Raw.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then after a while, when I was like actually watching WCW, my thing was I would go, oh, who's the champ? Hollywood Hogan again, going back to Stone Cold. It just seemed like Hogan held the title like forever. I mean, as an adult looking at it, it doesn't seem quite that bad. But as a kid, I just it felt like an eternity that he held that belt, Yep. Or excuse me, championship, pal. Damn it.
It's not a belt, pal.
Belt's what you hold
your pants with.
God, such good crap. Anyway, but yeah, Nitro went down at the Georgia Dome. That's where the AJ Styles' beloved Georgia Bulldogs play. They had 40
Goldbergs.
Well, yeah, of course. But they had 40,000 people crammed into this building. You brought up this was 2 nights, 2 weeks removed from Starrcade. So this wasn't even like the night the night after Starrcade.
Yeah. Let's just pause on that real quick. So there you have a Nitro 2 weeks after, 8 days after their biggest show of the year, and instead of having the biggest show of their year there, they pick Nitro. Anybody else see the stupidity in that?
Well, they were a very TV-centric company. Eric Bischoff admitted that. He also said,
pay-per-views on TV, right? You know that. Bischoff, right?
Well, it's not getting ratings, and it's not like Turner's not making money off. Oh, it's on my channel, So that was a big thing, according to him, about Turner was like, oh, it's on my network and I'm getting people to watch it, So I don't know. It was weird, but this was 3 hours long. When did Nitro go to 3 hours?
It's been a while for this point.
Cause see, as a kid, I don't remember, but then again, admittedly, like I said, I didn't really watch Nitro, so I don't really remember it being 3 hours, but it was for a while. And this just kind of shows, I love how, keep in mind, we are starting off 40,000 people. Georgia Dome, huge show. Start the year, first Nitro of the year, 1999. We opened the show with Glacier versus Hugh Morris.
Hell yes! Was Dink the Clown there?
Oh my God. Good Lord. No, your buddy from Boston wasn't too happy.
Oh, he was right. When else are you going to see them together?
He was
Can
right.
we not call him my buddy, by the way? Thank you.
Oh, come on. He gave you directions to Matt Taven's house. You should be thanking him, Greg.
Oh my God.
But at this point, Hugh Morris had shaved his head. he had Jimmy Hart as his manager, and he was trying to do a more serious thing, like gimmick.
Yeah, I don't know how he gets serious with the character he had. Half of it was serious, half of it was laughing.
Yeah, it was really weird. This was pre-Bill DeMott in WWE, and Glacier was wearing like just a hideous-looking singlet. It was weird. The bloom that I could say the bloom was off the rose, but I don't think the Glacier bloom ever had a rose. So I mean, just nobody cared. But Morris, just to prove his dominance, I guess, with his new gimmick and with Jimmy Hart as his manager, makes quick work of Glacier, hits the no laughing matter moonsault, and pins him. So that was that. That's how we opened Nitro. And keep in mind,
by the way, this is not opposed. By the way, there's no Raw yet.
I was about to say that this started at 8:00. Raw did not start until 9, which as an 8-year-old kid I hated because I had to go to bed at 10. So
I want to two things real quick. Number one, it's kind of smart putting the crap on first. Not that Glacier's crap.
Yeah.
And number two, I got to preference everything this whole episode by saying I had to watch these against one another because for some reason, and we're going to cover this episode like later, like at another time. I can't wait. The night Goldberg won the title on Nitro. That night, for some reason, they stopped showing Nitro at 5 p.m. over here on the West Coast. They used to air it live. So I literally never had to switch back and forth. But that was the first night. So this night, I had to watch it, like flipping channels. And we'll get more into that too. But it was interesting, though, because like I was never one of the ones that had a channel switch. Because I saw Raw didn't come on. Raw never came on at like early for me. It came on at 9 here. So, yeah.
What was odd, and they don't do this anymore to my knowledge, but back in in my teenage years when we got cable, or no, we got satellite, excuse me. We got DirecTV for the first time, and we had 2 sets of channels, not for every channel, but for certain ones they had whatever East Coast and then whatever West Coast. So
yeah, they do that with DirecTV here. So people with DirecTV over here can watch Raw at 5 o'clock today. Spoiler, we're recording on Monday. To watch Raw early for me, I go on my Comcast, those website, and they have the East Coast ones up on there.
Nice.
So I get to watch it quote early through Comcast. So
lucky you.
Yeah.
Well, but yeah, so started at 8 for us out here, in normal time. But
never got that time zone thing, anyways.
Yeah, it was weird. But moving on, here was the actual the first. Even though that opened the show, this was the first big thing. The 4 Horsemen are walking into the building with Flair. Flair has his kids behind him, including Charlotte, by the way.
President Flair, by the way. Can you please say that right?
Yeah, Ric Flair had defeated Eric Bischoff the week before on Nitro for the presidency of WCW. So Eric Bischoff was out of power, and we're going to see more of him here in a bit. But they had the whole walk in from the parking lot through the building, they're down to the ring. They're playing his music, big pomp and circumstance. The crowd is like losing their minds, praising Flair like a god. But
this is WCW territory, so.
Yes, it is. Flair had a lot of high-profile matches in Georgia. But
specifically the Omni. Rest in peace.
I know. I can't believe it's gone. When a certain Georgia native that you and I know told me that was shut down.
Sorry.
Well, when he told me it was shut down, I almost cried. I cried, bro.
Dude, when they demolished, I cried, bro.
I would have if that was me. In fact, I don't know if you heard about this, but in Dayton, about a month ago, we had some terrible tornadoes rip through I don't know why I'm saying we. I don't live in Dayton, but
I wish you did, though. Yeah.
no, I quickly got out of it. But they had some terrible tornadoes rip through, and for those of you who know WCW history, every time they went to Dayton, they performed at the Hera Arena. Dude, and it's been kind of a crap hole ever since. But dude, those tornadoes ripped it apart.
Man.
So more history gone. But either way,
Say it right.
Well, gone forever, bro. Took me a second. But new WCW president Ric Flair calls Eric Bischoff out to the ring. Bischoff still in his NWO gear. Flair tells Bischoff he's now a commentator and he works for Tony Schiavone.
Well, more on that later, by the way.
Yeah.
The irony. Well,
Eric refuses to speak, by the way, through the entire show. He just sits there with his feet propped up and his headset on. He does say something later on that we'll get to, but for now, he refuses to speak. Flair then calls out referee Randy Anderson, Pee Wee Anderson, who Eric Bischoff fired in front of Anderson's family when Randy had cancer, by the way. And, I mean, this is all kayfabe, obviously, but, you know, big heat-getting thing. But Flair reinstates Randy and gives him, I think he gave him, he doubled his salary. And finally, David Flair grabs a mic and he says he wants to wrestle alongside his dad at the upcoming pay-per-view. Rick asks Arn Anderson, he's like, is he ready? And Arn says he's ready. And he's like, okay. And that, my friends, is the first time Arn Anderson ever truly lied to Ric Flair's face. I'm sorry, but...
Holy hell.
Am I wrong?
I'm not touching that. No, you're not. Anyways.
But then after this whole segment, we get Booker T versus Emery Hale. If you're wondering who the hell Emery Hale is, so did I. But Booker T destroyed him. He was some local jobber. And then we get this frickin' thing. I teased this last week. We get Norman Smiley versus Chavo Guerrero Jr. Chavo has...
Money!
He does not have money, but he has Pepe the Stick Horse.
Oh, that's better than money, man.
Yeah. Well, Chavo won. He beat Norman Smiley with a quick roll-up. Smiley then beat up Chavo, and he destroyed Pepe. How dare he?
Did you give him the big wiggle?
He was doing the big wiggle in the ring, and that's what led to Chavo beating him. And I was wondering, I'm like, how did they ever let him get away with doing the big wiggle? He's literally humping and smacking the air.
Yeah.
And he's getting hardcore into it, too.
Yeah.
It's weird.
No.
God dang it, pal. That's just crass.
I'm sorry, but I always laugh my ass off at the big wiggle, dude.
I do, too. It's just gross. It's crass, like I said. But
I don't find it to be gross. I find it to be comedy. I mean,
it's
he's
weird.
not like dry humping
right?
anything. It's just...
He is. I don't know.
Not really. He's just...
What would have been
he's
funny...
bouncing him and smacking his ass. What's wrong with that?
What would have been funny is if he would have grabbed Pepe and did it to Pepe. Now that would have been crass.
I have a feeling this conversation would be different if he did, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, Chris Benoit up next took on the Hogan, Horace Hogan. Benoit got a jobber entrance, which I didn't know WCW really did, but they did.
Well, Bischoff's reasoning for that is he wanted more wrestling, which would not be a problem if they did it.
Right. I will say this, WCW got way more wrestling matches on this 3-hour program than Raw ever gets on their 3-hour program. And I'm not knocking WWE, because usually their matches drag out a little bit more. I just noticed that there were a lot of matches on this card, which surprised me. I thought there was going to be more story than matches, but it was a nice contrast. By the way, every match that I've mentioned so far, including this one, are meaningless. So there is something to be said for that. At least when Raw has a match, they try to make it mean something. You know? But yeah, Benoit made Horace Hogan tap out. That was that. Nothing really to say about that one. I wasn't keeping time, but I can assume if Raw hasn't started yet, we are quickly approaching the start of Raw. I mean, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Usually about 3 matches, a couple segments, then Raw started, if I remember correctly.
I would say because of who is in this next segment, I would assume this is right around that time. But gosh, this was corny. In the parking garage, cops surround Bill Goldberg, and they say they have a warrant for his arrest. He gives some really long, cheesy speech about how he helps out the cops and the local charities in Atlanta, and he said, whatever it is I'm accused of, it's a lie. He doesn't even know what he's accused of, but it's a lie.
I will say this, watching this, I was intrigued, and this is what hooked me to Nitro.
Right.
This is the night I started. I mean, like I said, I was always channel flopping. I always had Nitro recording. I was a WB guy, so I always watched it religiously. But I saw them both because I would be recording Nitro on a VCR. If anyone's ever heard of that,
bro. Nobody remembers, bro.
This is a thing they did though that I will say kind of hooked me. It's like, okay, I'm intrigued. You know, I wasn't gonna not go back that night. Like it was gonna flip flop. So
this was interesting. This was just super corny. And he then
looking back at it, it's terrible. I'm going off of at the time. I want people to know that. I'm not gonna praise anything. This is all what was in my head at the time.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder what's going on. So
well, and then he said that it's going to take all of their pepper spray, their guns, and their weaponry to take him in. I'm not joking. He said that. But this segment goes on forever. They finally arrest him and load him into a generic green sedan. I assume you've never been arrested before.
You assume, right?
But
I was brought home by the police for doing stupid crap when I was a kid, but not arrested.
Okay, well, did you ever see a cop just riding around in a generic green sedan or just a car?
No.
Okay.
Only in the movies.
Yeah, even in the movies. Like, come on, dude. Like, you guys could get Rent-A-Cops, but not Rent-A-Cop car. I guess Cop Cars R Us was closed that day.
Right. It took me a second.
But then Kevin Nash comes out, he comes charging out of the building, angrily yelling at the cops and says, I got a match with him later tonight. And he's mad. And Hollywood Hogan is off to the side in a suit, laughing and saying that as a politician, he believes in a man doing his time if he's guilty, and then laughs. And for those of you out there that don't know, Hollywood Hulk Hogan claimed he was retiring from wrestling to run for the presidency.
Oh, yeah, that was masterful, too. Real quick, he went on the Tonight Show and did a whole thing about it. It's like he's retiring, he's running for president, and they really made this go. And I thought it was legit at the time because he did it on the Tonight Show. Yeah. And he was doing the ring or something. No, he went on the Tonight Show with Jay Leno.
Yeah, this was a big thing. And then when Eric Bischoff, Conrad asked Eric Bischoff about that, and Eric was like, I have no freaking idea. He was just messing around. He was like, I have no idea where it was leading. He said he never intended to run for the presidency. It was weird. Doesn't make any sense. But either way,
dude, look who our current president is. I mean, come on, anybody can run. Let's be honest.
This was 1999.
I don't want to get political. Please don't. I'm just saying anybody can run.
I know, but I'm just saying.
No, I don't mean you. I mean
1999. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. But in 99, this was not a thing.
No, but also keep in mind, I believe that was the. I guess it was. Well, besides 2016, it was the last time we were guaranteed a brand new president, right? So yeah. It wasn't going to be Clinton because he was done. So, yeah, why not? You know?
Yeah, this whole thing was really weird, especially when you consider he says, I'm running for the presidency of the United States, and then he's a giant heel, like, in WCW.
Well, no, he had not been on TV for a while after he announced that. It's not like he announced it was on TV. I believe, I could be wrong on this, I believe this night was him coming back into WCW after being off TV for a while.
Well, he was still a heel, though. I mean, when he left.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, he was, he was gone for a while. Not forever, bro.
What the hell?
My recollection is never played out on TV, by the way, except for this night, to my recollection. I could be very wrong on. No, wait, he came out. Never mind. There was like a big celebration. Never mind. He came out. Yeah.
Good
Sorry,
grief. It was all stupid. I'll say that. But up next, we get Perry Saturn taking on Chris Jericho with Ralphus. This, by the way,
was...
main
event anywhere in the country right there, man.
I know you're being facetious, but, I mean, these two are really good. So...
Hey, you throw Ralphus in there, man. That's an extra star right there.
Dude, did you ever hear Chris Jericho was talking about when he was negotiating to go to WWE and he was doing it like kind of hush-hush behind, like nobody really knew about it? Yeah. Then Ralphus found out and he was like, when are we going to New York, Chief? And he was like, New York? What do you know about New York? Get the F out of here. And he was like,
crack.
Yeah. And he was like, the weirdest thing about it was like, he wasn't a wrestler. He wasn't in the business. Jericho just found this guy working concessions or something like that. And was like, hey, you'd be perfect. And it just stuck and he stuck around, but he wasn't a wrestling guy. And he was like, New York, quote unquote, was a wrestling term used for WWE, WWF. He was like, how the hell did he learn this crap?
Wow.
But yeah, so either way, this was when did Jericho debut in WWF?
August 99.
Okay.
So like in 7 months.
Yeah. So there you go. This was about 7 months before he was Y2J. I find it weird, like I get it that they have to dub over certain themes, but they dub over his WCW theme with Break Down the Walls.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't find another generic rock song. Like, for those that don't know, they'd think, wow, that was his WCW theme? That was cool. He's had the same theme forever. And this was like his original, like, debut version of Break Down the Walls they dub it over with. But either way, Jericho pulls the referee in the way of a diving Perry Saturn, and the referee wakes up and disqualifies Saturn. It was weird. Apparently, they were doing some storyline where Saturn and this particular referee didn't get along. Do you know if this went anywhere?
Yeah, eventually they just had like a little mini feud. I think there might even have been a match for a minute.
With the referee?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, holy hell.
Why does that surprise you?
It's sad that it doesn't really surprise me that much. And man, Saturn did some weird things, dude. And that wasn't even the weirdest. But we now go to the police are interrogating Goldberg back at the police station, saying he's under arrest for aggravated stalking of Miss Elizabeth. Goldberg says he's not capable of that. First of all, I didn't know aggravated stalking was a thing. Second of all, Goldberg, is Goldberg saying, like, I couldn't do that? Or is he saying I'm not able to do that? Like, what does he mean by not capable of that? I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. It was funny to me. I'm not capable of that. But now we go back to the arena where detectives are interviewing Miss Elizabeth. She says that Goldberg is, quote, everywhere she goes, and she feels threatened. You can kind of see where this is going.
Mm-hmm.
This was your favorite part of the show. a vignette is shown for the Latino World Order.
Oh, good grief! Shut your mouth.
Eddie Guerrero with just like 10 out of 10 mullet is like at this house out in the middle of the desert. He's wearing like a leather jacket over his LWO shirt. He's encouraging another Mexican man in a lowrider to bounce his car up and down. They show off hot Hispanic women all over the place. They're drinking, they're partying. Eddie says they're all partying with hot women and whatever. They then, quote, party and dance to a mariachi band. They play poker.
Are we done?
Dude, this goes on for like 10 minutes. I'm like, holy crap, guys. And it was like...
you all know you're on the undercard, right? You don't mean anything. You know that, right?
And it's sort of racist. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's like they got a mariachi band, a lowrider.
So Saturday night in my neighborhood.
Oh, my good Lord. And then you take it a step further. Good for you. But after all that LWO nonsense, we get a match between Kidman and Rey Mysterio Jr. He's not calling himself Billy Kidman at this point. He's just Kidman. They are taking on two members of the LWO, Juventud Guerrera and Psychosis. For the record, I have Jack's figures of all of these men except for Juvi.
Of course you do.
I want a Juvi figure, but they never made one. So it's like, what? No love for the juice?
No.
You gotta say it like that with the little lisp. The juice. Anyway, I actually wrote in my notes, I have a Mattel figure of that Rey Mysterio in that particular outfit. He's wearing like yellow and black. I bought it in New York when you and I were there for SummerSlam.
Did you?
Yeah, it came in a 2-pack with RVD.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, you and I went to some like far off Toys R Us, which is coming back, by the way. But it was out in the middle of like way off. We had to take a subway ride too. But yes, I also put in there about how I actually have 2 Jack's figures of Billy Kidman. One with long hair, one with short hair. So there you go. Have I met my quota for the episode yet?
I think so.
The LWO guys argue over whether or not they're going to tag each other in. Kidman accidentally hits a flying kick to the back of Ray. Psychosis hits a guillotine leg drop, gets the win. LWO says they did it for Eddie. Woohoo. We now go back to Goldberg talking with the cops. The cops tell him that he stalks Elizabeth at the arenas and the gym. He says that he works at the arenas and he owns the gym. So there you go. And we go back to the arena. Mean Gene calls out Kevin Nash. Do you ever think it was weird how they would always, like, Mean Gene would be on the stage and call somebody out for an interview on the stage?
No, I liked it. I did. Time in the ring.
Right. I mean, I agree. That was just a very WCW thing to do. Like, WWE literally never did that. So, I mean, it made them different. So that was cool. But Nash says that Goldberg got screwed at Starrcade. For those of you that don't remember, Nash beat him and ended his undefeated streak when Scott Hall cattle prodded his ass. He says Liz is lying on Goldberg and he wants Hogan for the world title tonight. And then if he beats Hogan, he'll take on Goldberg right after. Ric Flair then comes out and says that Hogan is behind. He knows that Hogan is behind Liz's charges. And tonight, Hogan will take Goldberg's spot in the world title main event match. So the crowd is happy, but I'm sure a few of them were like, damn it, we paid to see Goldberg, you know?
Well, they're in Atlanta, yeah. I mean,
yeah. So, I mean, come on, people. They've been advertising this for a couple weeks, hadn't they? Or, well, they only had 1 week to advertise it, I guess.
Yeah, 7 days.
Yeah, so either way. Let's see. Elizabeth now is talking to the detectives again, and she can't keep her story straight. She gets angry that the cops aren't going to throw Goldberg in prison. And now we go back to Mean Gene. He calls out Hollywood Hogan to the ring this time. And the weird thing is, I think he came out to an instrumental of Voodoo Child. Because...
No, it comes out just to Voodoo Child.
Okay, well, because the reason I said that is because they dub over it with the NWO theme, but every once in a while when the NWO theme gets a little low, you can hear Voodoo Child plain as day. When Hogan comes out to the ring, though, he says that he's running for president. He buries Goldberg, Nash, and the Wolfpack, and he ends by saying that he'll have one last retirement match. That's tonight. And before this next match, by the way, here's where Tony Schiavone drops a line. Mick Foley, because he says not to switch over to the other channel. So they are going against Raw at this point. And he says, they're pre-recorded, they're in the can. He said, Mick Foley, who once wrestled here as Cactus Jack, is going to win their world title. Ugh, that's going to put some butts in seats.
Yeah, so here's my thing about that. I didn't hear that line right away. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
What no one talks about is, first of all, so people got talking about Bischoff again. He was right next to Schiavone, which I completely forgot. So when he said that line, he's literally right next to him. I completely never thought of that until I rewatched it. So I didn't hear that part. Okay? What's never mentioned is Schiavone does it again in the middle of the Conan and Scott Steiner match.
He does it multiple times here.
Yeah, but I heard it the second time, and no one ever talks about that. Everyone talks about the famous one. The second one, because like they had went to commercials, like, okay, Hogan said his thing, the music's playing, I went to the other channel. So I didn't hear that. I heard it during the match. So it's just like, what's funny is they did it multiple times, and it's like, wow, that's what did it.
Yeah. Well, like you said, he buried him again, brought it up again, buried him right here during that match. And then afterwards, Scott Steiner and has Buff Bagwell with him. They get the advantage on Conan. And again, Schiavone says, now that's a powerful man. That's a champion. What do they have? Referring to Mick Foley. So there you go.
At the time of airing, we're still The Rock, but
Right, yeah. But yeah, kind of skipping around here with some of this stuff. The important stuff here is the detectives keep questioning Liz. She can't keep her story straight. They tell her she's lying, and they're going to be filing charges for falsifying a report. She finally breaks down and says she lied, and she apologizes for all of it. And there you go. At the police station, the cops told Goldberg that the charges have been dropped against him by Miss Elizabeth. He orders them to uncuff him and take him to the Dome. So next up...
which is funny, by the way, Bischoff said it's literally right across the street. So there's no car needed.
Yeah, well, they raced him over there in a car, and it sure took them, 10 minutes at least? Maybe longer. But, yeah, so during the main event, we get Kevin Nash with Scott Hall. He brings Scott Hall out, by the way, to a huge ovation. And Scott's wearing a Wolfpack shirt. Hulk Hogan comes out in street clothes that he was wearing earlier. Because at first, I used to think, why the hell was he wearing street clothes? It's because he wasn't planning to wrestle that night. But he had Scott Steiner in his corner. This, I just got to cover. This is the moment of truth. I gotta talk about. Michael Buffer says this about Nash during the introduction. Although he's a native of Detroit, Michigan, his accomplishments and glories make him a citizen of the world. What does that even mean?
I don't know.
A ridiculous and comedic amount of pyro goes off for Kevin Nash. As I said, the Georgia Dome blows for Hall. Tony Schiavone keeps pounding home how this is, quote, lived and, quote, not taped matches. Then he says, this is what what World Championship Wrestling is all about. Then, the finger poke of doom. They swerved, bro.
Man.
How
and it's
right
funny.
he was.
What's funny is because I didn't even see it. I heard about it the next day, because when they announced that Foley was going to win, my dad was a huge Foley mark, so it was like we switched over. I'm like, okay, we're not turning this off. We're going to watch this because I don't believe him. Like, it was a thing. We didn't believe it. So, I didn't know it was taped and stuff back then.
Yeah, same here.
But yeah, so we were watching it like as it happened, and like we were watching the celebration, and DX is in there with them and everything. And then I turned back, and Nitro's already off, and I'm like, oh, wow. I don't know what happened.
Lucky you.
So I never saw it until the next day.
Well, what happened after the finger poke of doom is the NWO embrace. The fans litter the ring with garbage. They are not happy. Goldberg finally pulls up outside, runs in, takes out everyone. Then Lex Luger runs in for his backup, supposedly, but then he jumps Goldberg. Then the NWO take Goldberg out. They handcuff him to the corner. Scott Hall hits him with a cattle prod and spray paints the back of his head black. Then takes a red spray paints NWO on his back. Eric Bischoff is beyond annoying at this point on commentary, just doing sound effects into the mic for everything.
Shazam! By golly! Gee willikers!
Every time he gets hit with a cattle prod, he goes into the mic. And every time they're doing the spray paint, he goes into the mic. It's the most annoying thing I ever heard. But Hogan spray paints the title, or spray paints NWO on the title again, and Nash says, "Can you say deja vu?" And that's how the show goes off the air. Yay.
And on the other channel, the world's celebrating.
You want to quickly run through what happened on Raw? We don't have to touch on everything here because got to wrap it up.
Hi, I'm Mark, and I'm one of the hosts of Massive Late Fee. Do you remember Blockbuster? Well, we do, and we racked up a lot of late fees there. That's why we're glad there's things like Netflix, Hulu, and Blockbuster has died, mostly because of us. We cover streaming shows and pretty much whatever we want. Join us every Thursday as we talk TV and movies on Massive Late Fee. You can find us at Massive Late Fee on Twitter, Massive Late Fee on Facebook. You can email the show at massivelatefee@gmail.com, and you can find us at MySpace, Massive Late Fee. Massive Late Fee, the best podcast we can think of.
On Is It Philosophy, we are not going to explore the philosophers of long forgotten. We'll not ponder Plato or Socrates. There's so many podcasts out there for that, if that's what you're seeking. This is something different. A place where all ideas are welcome. An open forum to talk about anything and everything. We take an idea and work to find an answer. It may not always be the most insightful, so come and listen with an open mind. Who knows, you may like what we have to say. So come and enjoy and ask yourself, is it philosophy?
Hi everybody, I'm RJ Metzger.
And I'm Rachel Metzger.
And we're the Skeptical Skeptics.
Each week we talk about all the crazy things in the world, ranging from the paranormal to Bigfoot to UFOs.
And we look at it from the perspective of the believer, the skeptic, and everything in between.
So come check us out on the MSC Podcast Network.
Or go to skepticalskeptics.com and follow us at SkepSkepPod on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
Hi, I'm Mark.
And I'm Carol.
And we're the hosts of Retro Late Fee. We are stuck in 1994.
And we can't get out.
We're watching all the movies and TV shows that you probably remember, I guess. Somehow we're speaking to you through some kind of time portal.
Right.
Join us every week for great movies and TV shows from 25 years ago.
It's fun, I swear.
Let's run through some of this. The show opens with McMahon, Mr. McMahon and the corporation coming out. I guess McMahon had fired Shawn Michaels as the commissioner the week before, but HBK comes out and says his contract is ironclad and he can't be fired. He has to quit. He then brings out DX and says Mr. McMahon will be number 2 in the Royal Rumble, while Stone Cold will be number 1. We all know how that went. That he then says that tonight he has a surprise that will drive McMahon stone cold crazy. And Michael Cole, for everybody out there, was on commentary this night. And
I need to pause real quick and just say, this is when Cole was actually good. People may not agree with me on that, but I thought he was damn good this night. So
he was still annoying the hell out of me back then because every 5 seconds he hammered home Stone Cold Surprise, Stone Cold Surprise, Stone Cold Surprise, and I'm like, shut the hell up.
Well, maybe that part, but during the calling of the matches, he was damn good.
He was okay.
I disagree. I think he was damn good, but
yeah, I don't know. I'll never be a Michael Cole fan. But yeah, we get Ken Shamrock, Steve Blackman. Nothing, if you guys want to see this in full, definitely go back to the network, check it out.
You don't want to see that in full.
It involved Dan Severn, so you're probably right. But Mankind came out to a remix of his theme and No Chance in Hell to ask Mr. McMahon for a WWF title shot at the Royal Rumble against The Rock. McMahon said that after Mankind locked the Mandible Claw on Shane last week, he would not give him a title shot. However, he said he's going to get an opportunity to enter the Royal Rumble if he beats Triple H later tonight. The special guest referee would be Shane McMahon. So there you go. I got to touch on this real quick. Mark Henry versus Goldust was up next. Mark Henry got distracted by Chyna and her, quote, female friend, Sammy.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, that was a thing.
Forgot about this.
And then Goldust lost because he hit Shattered Dreams and got disqualified like an idiot. But then Chyna came down and said that she wasn't man enough for Mark Henry. or no, she wasn't woman enough, for Mark Henry. And basically offered him a 3-way, and he fainted. Yeah. Russo, bro. This next one, I'm not going to cover the match.
I'm not touching on that.
Yeah.
It was stupid.
For those of you that don't know, Sammy turns out to be a cross-dressing man later on. I guess, or a transvestite. I don't know. Whatever.
Look, the whole thing ended with Mark Henry saying, "Oh my God, you got a penis." There you go. That's how it ended. Okay?
Well, how else would it end, Greg? But,
this is wrestling in 99, folks.
Yeah.
Literally how they start off the year.
Oh, yeah. Welcome in 1999. Boom. Test had a match against the Godfather. I didn't even know that Test ever came out to this. Test came out to a theme song that sounded like a remix of Diesel's old theme. Do you remember that?
I don't.
It was some generic song played on a harmonica. It sounded like, I was like, holy crap. And that goes back to them saying that Russo pissed off Click members by saying, "Oh, he's just as big as Kevin Nash." So there you go. He wanted him to be the next Kevin Nash.
Like physically big, or?
Yeah. And he said he wanted to put Test in DX and have him be a stand-in for Kevin Nash, basically. That was Russo's whole idea.
All right.
But here's Triple H versus Mankind. This is where crap hits the fan. Shane came out to some weird music that almost sounded like like Jake the Snake Roberts' old theme, which was weird. Triple H was wearing Hulk Hogan colors. I thought that was funny. But he hit a sunset flip on Mankind. Shane made an ultra-fast count. Triple H apologized to Mankind and said he'd do anything for the title. But then he said he had a gift for Mankind. He hit a pedigree on Shane before saying, "He's all yours," and he left the ring. Mankind then locked in an armbar on Shane and said he'd break his shoulder. And then Mr. McMahon came out, and Mankind said that he didn't want a title shot at the Royal Rumble after all. He wanted it tonight. And he also wanted it to be no disqualification. McMahon agreed, and Mankind let Shane go. So there you go. And I figured this would be particularly interesting to you. We keep getting shots of Dennis Knight tied up or chained up in some dungeon.
So what you're telling me is naked comedians on this show?
Sort of.
Hell yes. We're done. Wrap it up.
And he's chained up. He keeps yelling for help. They're playing dramatic music. Finally, the acolytes come in and say, "He's ready for you now." And they unchain him. We all know where this is going.
Yeah, he's going to get naked.
Eventually, yes.
I couldn't help it.
This thing, dude, it's not the match that's the important thing here. D'Lo Brown took on Edge. A quote.
Oh, God. I forgot about this.
A quote, pregnant Terry Runnels comes down to the ring. She gets up on the apron for no reason whatsoever. D'Lo accidentally knocks her off, and she lands hard on the mat, yelling and screaming in pain. They stretcher her out of there, insinuating that she's miscarried.
Okay, first of all, people hear me laughing. I'm laughing because I forgot about
awful.
This. She comes out, falls off the stairs, and all of a sudden she's in pain, having only been a week or two pregnant, saying, "Oh my God, it hurts." You landed on your ass.
And
that's horrible.
Well, plus, if she was only a week or two pregnant, why was she so large at this point?
Yeah, right.
Good grief. But this was another Russo thing of, she's pregnant. Well, then what? She can't have a baby. We'll figure it out
she's going to lose
bro.
the baby. It's going to be gone forever, bro.
Oh my gosh, that was so bad. But I guess last week on Raw, Shane got beat up and whatever. So Mr. McMahon said that everybody who had anything to do with that is going to pay tonight. So Shane comes to the ring with Kane and the Stooges, and Shane says that Kane will compete in a handicap match against the Stooges.
Oh, God, I forgot about this too.
And Mr. McMahon tells the Stooges that they were somewhat responsible because they didn't protect Shane last week, so they have to pay. Kane destroys them, and he goozles Shane before finally releasing him. And Mr. McMahon says that even though there were no pinfalls whatsoever, he says that Kane is the winner, and they all leave. This was pointless. I'm not going to cover this whole thing because it's too long, but this was actually one of my favorite parts on the show. Road Dogg defended the hardcore title against Al Snow. Snow is drenched in blood, and so is Head. Apparently they got a bloodbath the week before, and he didn't change his clothes. So this is a precursor to Eugene, I guess.
The night before.
Or yeah, the night before.
No, I mean, literally the night before, but it was last week.
Oh, right. Yeah, because it was pre-taped. I gotcha. But Head is also shaved and has duct tape around its mouth. So whatever. They fight all over the building. They fight out into the snow, which is ironic, I felt. Al Snow fighting in the snow. But anyway, it was a really good match, in my opinion, for a hardcore garbage match that ends with Road Dogg hitting a pile driver onto wood crates, and he gets the win. We see Dennis Knight one more time being dragged down a hall by the Acolytes to a big wooden double doors. The doors open, they throw him inside, there's a bunch of smoke, and that's the end of it. For those of you not knowing, he will become Midian later on when he is sacrificed by The Undertaker. And then...
he'll be naked in October.
There you go. Gotta get naked, bro. Show the junk. Inexplicably naked, by the way. And for some reason he has a fanny pack.
Covering
it. Such good crap. This was the part, by the way, as a kid, this is the biggest thing I remember from the show, which is weird. But as an 8-year-old kid, just to let you know, I was a huge Shawn Michaels fan.
Huge.
Big league Shawn Michaels fan. Huge mark for Shawn Michaels. To the point of where I was happy Stone Cold won at WrestleMania 14, but I was also sad that Shawn Michaels was no longer the champion because I was such a big fan of his. But this stuck out in my head because as an 8-year-old kid, I was like, oh my God, even though you didn't really see anything. Shawn Michaels gets locked outside by DX and the corporation. By DX, rather. He goes to his car, and he gets jumped by the corporation. He gets beaten up off camera. When we come back from commercial, he had his face put through his windshield, and he's a bloody mess, covered in snow, being loaded onto a stretcher. like, as an 8-year-old kid, I was, like, devastated. Imagine you being 8 years old and that happening to Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, I can imagine. Oh, when Earthquake squashed him, I damn near cried, so yeah.
Hey, man, I know the feeling. I've been there. But yeah, this was the moment to put the butts in the seats, man, right here. Or, you know.
I'll say this, it put my ass in the seat.
It was good.
Real quick, I got to say something. I only learned when I was like 21 what that meant. Honestly, I didn't hear that. That'll put the butts in the seats. And then I saw all the signs, fully put my ass in the seat and all that. I didn't realize at the time where it came from because I didn't hear that line. It's like, it's funny looking back. Like it took me like 5 years to realize, oh, that's where it's from. So someone didn't just make it up and put on a sign. Because like I said, I didn't hear that first part.
Yeah.
So I didn't learn until like 5 years after the fact that Shivani actually said that'll put the butts in the seats. What I heard was he's going to win, and then he kind of snarkily said, oh, that's going to be their world champion. Oh, my God.
Yep. And
that's what I remember hearing that night.
Is that ironic, by the way, that they give a screwed finish to the end of Nitro and just screw 40,000 people out of what they wanted to see, and then they're like sitting there crapping on the world champion of WWF?
They screwed over everyone there, and they gave free publicity to WWE.
Yep.
Basically saying, hey, look at this crap. This is garbage. Go watch the other show.
That's what they
literally said.
It literally was garbage because people littered the ring at the end of that Nitro, too. So there you go. But yeah, first of all, the other thing I really remember from this night is during Foley's first promo of the night. You know how people used to have the signs that say Foley is God?
Yeah.
Well, he said, well, I don't know about that, but I sure am good.
Yeah.
I always remember that.
Yeah, he said they were missing a letter because he's not God, but he's quite good.
Yeah, that's it. But the corporation is with The Rock, and DX is with Mankind for this. The Rock dominates. He destroys Mankind. But when DX and the corporation start brawling, Stone Cold comes down. He hits
Could we
just
acknowledge, by the way, that ovation?
Oh, yeah.
That may have been one of the biggest ovations I've ever seen in my life.
Crowd lost their damn mind because they were sitting. I guarantee they were sitting there like, are we actually going to see Mankind win the damn world title? Like, there's no way. It can't. It's going to be. We're going to get screwed out of this somehow, some way. And they weren't.
And like I said too, I didn't expect it to happen because like, oh, they're lying. It's not going to happen.
Oh yeah. And he blasts The Rock with a chair shot, drags Mankind on top of him. Mankind wins the WWF title. Crowd goes absolutely bananas. That was great. I will say, as a kid, I feel bad now feeling this way, but as a kid, Mankind wasn't generally positioned as a main eventer, so I never sat there. So when this happened, I wasn't like through the roof about it. I was just kind of like, the hardcore champion is the world champion now? Like, what? I don't get it.
I saw one of those Legends roundtables with Michael Hayes, and Foley was on it too. And he's like, you didn't mean any disrespect by it. He's like, but you didn't look like a guy who's going to be the champion. No, that's
right.
I think
Daniel
that's what made it better. Yeah, exactly. But Foley came out wearing sweats and a ripped shirt and all that stuff too, though. At least
and a mask.
Brian looks. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, Foley paved the way, I think.
So I'm watching that, and like I said, I never went back because I was like so into it. I'm like, oh my God, he won. We're watching it, and Road Dogg gets on the mic and does his thing for Mankind, and like we're watching this, and I'm forgetting all about what's on the other channel because of what they said. It's like they told me to go watch it. You know, I was actually in the Nitro that night. Like I was not flipping back and forth until I heard that line. And then I think, if I remember right, Mankind had 3 segments on Raw. So I didn't know when it was going to happen, if it was going to happen. Like I said, I thought he could have been lying. But he had like 3 segments. I'm like, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? You know?
Yeah, I can't believe it actually happened.
I just completely forgot about Nitro. Man, I remember so vividly, too. I'm like, wow. Looking back after everyone talked all the crap, he really did give them publicity because I did not go back. I was one of the ones that switched when I heard that.
Yeah, it was a definite strategic error by the part of Eric Bischoff.
Bischoff said he doesn't regret many things. That's the number one thing he's ever regretted in his entire life. But on the flip side, that 500,000 people or whatever it was did not see the stupid finger poke. So, that saved us. So, there's that.
Yeah. I guess that's the bright side of everything, if there is one. Yeah. So, I don't know. But I don't know, man. It's historic. That's why we're covering it today. And I will say this, not even throwing any shade at Mankind, but, to re-emphasize this, I was 8 years old. I hadn't been, trained by WWE or anybody to think this guy is a main event guy. And this happened. So I was kind of thrown off. And then, so I was the same way with Triple H. When Triple H got thrust into the main event and won the world title, I'm like, you're just the other guy from DX. Like, what the hell? And it took me a while, because I was like, when did he win his first world title, Greg?
SummerSlam 99.
Okay, so I was still 8. I was about to turn 9. So I still have that same mindset, because I wasn't trained where I'm like, this guy is a main eventer and should be a world champion. Like, as an adult, I don't have to be, told this by companies, but as a kid, you kind of have that mindset,
Yeah.
So that'd be like, Chris Jericho. If Chris Jericho all of a sudden shot to the main event in WCW and won their title, as a kid, I wouldn't have liked that either. But it's a kid mentality. But as an adult, I would have loved it. And looking back, that show was weird, dude.
Yep.
It was just a weird event. But either way, thank you all for joining us for this 50th episode of
best episode ever.
Oh yeah, it's the best. It's definitely a great one of the Podcast Wrestling Society. We are almost a year old. For all of you who celebrated Canada Day on Monday, happy belated Canada Day to all y'all. And to the rest of my American listeners, happy 4th of July coming up tomorrow. Hopefully I get to see some fireworks. And yeah, I don't know if you'll be back on the show next week, Greg. We're trying to figure it out. If not, then I'll have to do something else. But for our big 52nd episode, we have something big planned. It's going to be huge. Lots of reviews for AEW, WWE, UFC, all that good stuff. Going to be huge. So stay tuned for that.
Going to be big league.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for joining me today, Greg.
Yeah, of course.
And we will continue these Monday Night War episodes later on whenever we can. We're going to try to make all of July dedicated to America's birthday. I had fun today. Hope you did too. We'll see you next week. Later.
Later.